When you expect nothing, you gain everything. And I'm not saying this to tell you to stop caring, but to stop expecting, because expectations takes away our freedom. The more we expect, the less we're able to express and truly be what we're meant to be. And I say this to say that I truly believe that a lot of the worldly desires that we think that we have decided for ourselves weren't actually dictated by ourselves, but by the societies that we're brought up in and the things that we see. And it's because the more we attach ourselves to the desire, the more we become victim to the outcome. And I see it personally in my own life. And I see it in others as well, as we really want something to happen. And then we become that desire. We start, instead of it just being a form of expression, instead of it just being something that, because we're willing to do the thing, that it will lead to this outcome, instead of the outcome just being a product, a byproduct of the work, we become that outcome. So now our happiness is tied up in that outcome, and equivalently also our sadness when we don't achieve those things, or the thing that we thought should be coming from the work that we put in or the energy that we put in, and when it doesn't equal up to what we expected, now we're let down. And I said this in a different video, but the truth is, it's so important that we don't place our happiness in the future, but we realize that there is no future, there's only the now. It's only the fact that we shouldn't wait for a future, right? We should just be it now, feel it now, experience it in the now, because this is all that we have. Like, we can't take ourselves back to the past, and we can't force or rush the future to come any nearer than it will. And I think it's also important that we destroy our timelines, because once we create these timelines and these false expectations of what we believe that our actions should result in, we actually place time limits, and the time starts to becoming something that's holding back the expression instead of just allowing us to be, right? Instead of it just needing it to be something, or the only way I can spend my energy is if I get something in return, right? Let go of the ROI. You don't need a ROI on every energy transaction. You should just do something for the sake of doing something. You should just be, not necessarily needing an external motivation for why you need to do it, right? And I say that, but it can be difficult to do that in all aspects, in all places in your life. So like, my suggestion is to truly find something that is for you, and it doesn't have to have a monetary value placed by it. It doesn't have to have this external motivation or result driven thing behind it. It is just something for you. Like, whenever I go play basketball, it's never because I need to record a video or I'm trying to go professional or anything like that anymore. It is simply because that is a space and a time where I can just be me. There doesn't have to be a camera. There doesn't have to be anything that comes out of it. Like, I can just be me. I'm not looking for anything in return. I'm not looking to have a good day or a bad day. I don't feel anything at all. I'm just able to be grateful for the time that I have. Be grateful for the ability to just express. And I feel the same way when I write poetry. And there's other things, there's other mediums that, like, if maybe sports isn't your thing, or maybe like poetry isn't your thing, you can do drawing, literally you can do coding, you can do, it's so many different things that you can do. But the truth of it is, you have to find that thing where you can just be you. You can just express without needing a return on your energy investment. And when I say do it for the sake of doing it, I truly mean to do it for the internal benefit and not for the external profit. Because if everything that you do, and I check myself all the time here, which kind of like can conflict with my consistency sometimes when I'm posting, because I try to not make something that can easily be, pursued and even, looked at as something that can be monetarily beneficial to you and can change your life as it's changed other people's lives, with just doing YouTube and making these videos. The thing that I try not to do is to not expect anything, not expect a comment, not expect a like, not expect a subscribe, not expect my video to go viral or anything, but just let it be and create the content to create it, not for any expectation of somebody's supposed to get a message from this, or it's supposed to be, beneficial, but just do what I feel like is placed on my heart by God. And I think within that, it's understanding that expectation is distrust in the divine timing, right? Expectation is distrusting divine timing, because once we set this expectation, we believe that, example, if I had expectation for this video, I would believe that this video that I post would have some type of outcome. And when it didn't have that type of outcome, I would feel some type of way. And sometimes I think it transitions into the point of not taking things so personally. Like, it's not always you, it just is. Like, in some aspects and things, like when we talk about relationships, when we talk about jobs, sometimes when we're talking about content, because I know a lot of people that are growing up in this time period may be thinking about pursuing something like, content creation or whatever, right? For me personally, I like to think more about God, and just understanding that it's not personal, that things just must be. It has nothing to do with you, right? And showing grace to, like, if you can show grace to yourself, it indirectly allows other people to give themselves such grace as well, right? And understanding that as we are navigating through the difficulties of life, that you can actually find comfort in the fact that everyone else is also dealing with something too, right? And it's not to say that I find the comfort in the fact that other people may be struggling, but it's more so to say that I know I'm not alone in the struggle, right? And regardless of what the exterior looks like, I know internally we all have an internal battle, right? When the cameras are off, I have to deal with my own internal battle. When you guys are done watching the video, you have to deal with your own internal battle. And in that way, we're all related. In that way, we all are human. It's the human condition, right? The human condition is to never be satisfied, to always be seeking and pursuing the next thing. And sometimes it's really difficult to even show gratitude for the things that you have, because you're always in pursuit of the next thing, which is why you always set expectations to be able to achieve more. The law of detachment talks all about, and I actually have it here, so I don't lead you astray, but the law of attachment is essentially to let go of attachment to the outcome of their desires in the path to achieve them, right? And I think the serenity prayer biblically hits on something really strong in this aspect. And it's like when you ask God for the serenity to accept the things that you cannot change, the courage to change the things that you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And me personally, that's what's helped me a lot with being able to accept that everything is not in my control, and that I have to just be. In the being, in the becoming of this, you have to let go. And I always say it all the time, to let go and let God. And the reason why it's such a requirement for this is because if you try to keep everything in your control, you'll realize that you lack so much of it. And that can be the struggle in itself, right? It can be a very difficult thing to release control over things that you have no control over. But that's where the serenity accepts. Oh, that's when the serenity steps in. That's when letting go steps in. That's when letting expectation fall to the floor and just step into expression. It has nothing to do with what my ROI is supposed to be. It has more to do with, am I willing to become exactly who I was meant to be? It has way more to do with, am I willing to step into everything that my gifts have been bestowed upon me for? And I don't allow things to go to the wayside. I don't fall into imitation. I don't fall into procrastination. I don't fall into all these other things that are just distractions from being the true you, being exactly who God meant for you to be. Because the truth is, God won't bless who you're pretending to be. He'll only bless who he's intending you to be. And the intention of that is so strong. And that's the power word, intention, right? What are your intentions? If you're only doing something for a certain expectation, then what happens when you don't get that expectation? What happens when the energy that you put in doesn't equivalent or bring forth the expectation? Do you quit? Do you stop? Or does it become something more? Does the expression take over? Now it's no longer about how I can gain, but what I can give. It's no longer about how I can be blessed, but how I can be a blessing. And the serenity prayer helped me so much. And it was something that I began to say repeatedly every day and night, because I was having a difficult time relinquishing that control thought process, or just being able to let go and let God. I was having difficulties in allowing myself to just be. I was having difficulties in not expecting something from somebody. If I did something, I was always expecting something. Now I can just give for the expression of I want to give, not because if I give, that karma is going to come around, and what goes around comes around. And now because I was willing to be a blessing, that I can be blessed. No, it has nothing to do with what can circle back to me, but it has everything to do with how I can just express and how I can just be the blessing, not needing to be blessed in return. Or step into this plane of, I'm grateful because I get to do what I love. It doesn't matter what the expectation is anymore. I'm just good here. And everything that comes from this, cool. If I make something and it's perceived well, or it helps somebody else, awesome. But it has nothing to do with the expectation. The expression has nothing to do with the expectation. The expression itself is worthy of itself. And that's where we need to step into. We don't need to make ourselves the expectation. We don't need to say that I can only be happy if I'm this, or wait until I get this, because you can have that happiness now. You can step into it now. You can be it now. And the way that you be it is that you exclude the expectation and you step into the expression. Allow yourself to just be the expression. Allow yourself to just be. Allow yourself to just step into what you're called to be. Because once you're able to do that, you're worthy of itself. Just you being you, just you existing is already worthy. You don't have to obtain this or obtain that, because who you are isn't what you have acquired. It isn't what you possess. It's who you are in the inside. It's what you are on the inside and how you express that to the outside world. And it's because there's no future self to achieve, no past self to overcome. Everything that you need, want, and are is right now. It's already within. And if you made it this far into the video, I just want to say that I'm truly grateful. Grateful for you accepting this expression. Grateful for whatever happens after this, right? Letting you know that you already are worthy. You're worthy right now. You're worthy for just existing. You're already valuable for just existing. You don't have to go obtain or be anything that you feel like the world is already telling you to do, because a lot of these things, like I said before, the worldly desires that we feel like we've put upon ourselves wasn't even placed by ourselves. It was just seen as everything that we've, all the societies, the social media, the expectations from, peers, the expectations from guardians, all these other things have been placed upon you. And so you've only been able to live in the existence with the knowledge that you've already have. But that's also the old you. Now you're able to step into the new you. And with the new you has no expectation. There's nothing else that you need to be or achieve. You just need to express. And so hopefully I truly believe that if you walk into this version of yourself, that no, not only will you be able to accept everything that God has for you, but you will also be able to trust in his timing. Because expectation is distrust in divine timing. But to be willing to just express the gifts that he's already given you, because the Bible says that your gifts will make room for you and put you in rooms in front of great men. Using and being the expression. Using the gifts has nothing to do with, oh, I'm going to use my gifts to get into those rooms. But getting into those rooms is just a byproduct of being and living throughout the expression, throughout using the gifts that God has given you. So trust me, let go, let God, and become the expression. Ignore the expectation. Hopefully this was a blessing to you. And if it was, well, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.